You have seen this quote before in a history class, in a documentary, shared 100,000 times online. And I would bet money you believe it is real. But there is a problem with this image. A problem so perfect, it might be the best history lesson you will ever get. Because Nazi Germany really did weaponize a mind trick that is still working on you today. And by the end of this video, you will realize it just worked on you again. To find the trick, we have to go back to 1925. Adolf Hitler is dictating a book called Mein Kampf. And in chapter 10, he describes something he calls the big lie. His words, in the big lie, there is always a certain force of credibility. The logic is chilling. Ordinary people tell small lies every day, so they can spot small lies easily. But a lie so enormous, so shameless that no one can imagine someone inventing it, that one slips right past the defenses. Here is the first twist, though. Hitler was not confessing. He was accusing. He claimed it was Germany's Jews who used the big lie to blame General Ludendorff for losing World War I, which means the technique enters history already wearing its favorite disguise. Accuse your enemy of the exact thing you are about to do. Remember that move. You will see it again in a few minutes, somewhere you do not expect, but an idea in a book is not a weapon. To work, a big lie needs one thing above everything else: volume. On March 13th, 1933, 6 weeks after Hitler became chancellor, a decree created the Reich Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda. Running it was Joseph Goebbels, at 35, the youngest minister in the cabinet. He now controlled the press, film, art, music, and radio of an entire country. And his first masterstroke was not a message. It was hardware. In August 1933, the regime unveiled the Volksempfänger, the People's Receiver, a radio so cheap at 76 Reichsmarks that almost any family could own one. Even the model number was propaganda. 301 for the 30th of January, 1933, the day Hitler took power. Millions of these boxes went into German kitchens and living rooms. A 1936 poster spelled out the goal. All of Germany hears the Führer with the People's Receiver. One voice, every home, every single day. Notice what the strategy is not. It is not a better argument. It is the same message repeated until it stops sounding like a claim and starts sounding like the weather. And we should be honest about where this machine drove. The lie it repeated, that Germany's Jews were an enemy within, ended in the murder of 6 million people. That is the weight this trick carries. Keep it in mind, because the mechanism itself never went away, which brings us back to the quote you saw at the start. Repeat a lie often enough, and it becomes the truth. Signed, Joseph Goebbels. Here is the thing. Goebbels never said it. Historians have hunted through his speeches, his articles, his diaries. The line appears in hundreds of books and on thousands of web pages, and not one of them can point to a primary source. Randall Beitwerk, a scholar who has spent his career on Nazi propaganda, lists it flat out among false Nazi quotations. In public, Goebbels actually claimed the opposite. The truth, he told a rally in 1933, is always stronger than the lie. The closest he ever came was a 1941 essay attacking Churchill, where he wrote that the English follow the principle that when one lies, one should lie big and stick to it. Look at what he is doing there, accusing the enemy of the exact technique his own ministry ran on 20 tons of radio hardware. The same move Hitler pulled in 1925. Even the famous list of Hitler's propaganda rules, people will believe a big lie sooner than a little one, comes from a secret 1943 American intelligence profile written by analysts in Washington, not by any Nazi at all. So sit with this for a second. The most famous quote about lies becoming true through repetition is a lie that became true through repetition. You believed it for one reason only. You had seen it before, That is not an embarrassing coincidence. That is the trick, caught on camera with you in the frame. Psychologists have now been measuring this glitch for 50 years, and it has a name, the illusory truth effect. In 1977, researchers at Temple University ran a simple experiment. Students rated 60 plausible statements, true and false, across 3 sessions, weeks apart. Some statements repeated, some appeared only once. The repeated ones were rated more true. Whether or not they actually were, the mechanism is almost insultingly simple. When your brain processes something easily, that ease feels like truth. Familiar equals fluent, fluent equals true. It feels like recognition of a fact. It is just recognition, full stop. But surely knowing the facts protects you. In 2015, a team led by Lisa Fazio tested exactly that. Repetition moved people even on statements they demonstrably knew were false. The researchers called it knowledge neglect. Your brain has the correct answer on file and reaches for the familiar one instead. Okay, but obvious fake news, surely not. In 2018, researchers showed people real fake news headlines exactly as they had appeared on Facebook. A single prior exposure made a headline seem more accurate. The boost was still there. A full week later, it survived fact check warning labels. It even worked on headlines that clashed with the reader's own politics. The only thing immune was total absurdity, statements like the earth is a perfect square. Everything that is even slightly plausible is fair game. Now, here is the uncomfortable part. Goebbels needed a national decree, a ministry, and a subsidized radio in every kitchen. The modern delivery system is already in your pocket, and it is better. You do not need to believe a post. You just need to scroll past it 10 times in 10 different wrappers. Every jingle you can finish from memory, every 3-word political slogan, every claim that everyone just knows, none of that is trying to convince you. It is trying to become familiar to you because familiar does the convincing later. The technique did not die in 1945. It lost the uniform and got a distribution deal. So, how do you fight a trick that works even on people who know about it? Because warnings barely help, time does not help, and honestly, this video alone is not enough. But researchers did find one thing that works. In a 2020 study in the journal Cognition, people who judged a claim's accuracy the first time they saw it, who literally paused and asked, "Is this actually true?" did not develop the illusion later. At least when they had some knowledge to check it against. Think about what that means. The trick lives in passive exposure. It dies in an active first look. By the 5th time you meet a claim, your brain has already voted. So the entire defense is one habit applied at one moment. Interrogate it the first time. Goebbels never said the line, but millions of us repeating it for 80 years made it feel true, which is the most honest demonstration of his ministry's method that history will ever give you. So forget the fake quote and keep the real lesson. A lie does not need to be convincing. It just needs to be familiar. Repeat a lie often enough, you know the rest. And now you finally know why you know it.